Yes, I'm starting off my spice rack video with a not so subtle reference to those two wonderful troubadours, Simon and Garfunkel, but only folks of a certain age like myself know who those guys even are. So let's continue by looking at these pictures of spice chaos. Yes, spice jars all over the place. If this is your kitchen, I've got the solution for you. I call it my, well, retractor rack for lack of a better name. But anyways, here is my solution for organizing the spice jars in your life. And as you can see, this spice rack handles 30 spice jars. Now you can keep your spices organized. You can immediately see what you have on hand or what you need to run out and grab. You can let this retractable spice rack sit in a cascading form like so while you're cooking, or you can leave it unretracted, leave it in the cabinet so you can reach for often used spices like these right here without having to pull the whole thing out. And when you're done grabbing spices, you can hide this entire spice rack behind a cabinet. So let me show you how I built this retractable, expandable spice rack contraption, and then you too can remove the chaos from what tends to be the most disorganized portion of anyone's kitchen. We're going to start off by building the actual spice racks. Now what I'm going to do is build 3 separate racks, and each rack will hold 10 spice jars. I feel that 30 spice jars is, well, more than enough spices for the average kitchen. I mean, if you have more than 30 spices that you're working with, you're probably working in a commercial restaurant. Each one of the 3 trays or 3 containers of our spice rack system is going to require a pair of these side pieces. So I've pre-cut a half dozen side pieces. They're ready to go, ready to drill, ready to configure. And they're using the same stock that I used to cut these 3 bottom pieces, a bottom piece for each tray. So same stock for the bottoms, same stock for the side pieces. In this case, I'm using hardwood maple. You may want to use walnut or oak, whatever you prefer, but hardwood maple is probably one of the easier hardwoods to work with, and it really produces a beautiful finish. This is the front section. I've got 3 of these, one for each tray. And this is the back section, 3 of those, one for each tray. This is a very thin maple plywood for the fronts and the back. Here we've got maple hardwood levers. We've got 4 of these. We need a pair for each side of the system. The sides for each one of your trays or containers will require the most of your time. Here's a pre-cut side. It's basically a blank. Now I'm using Kreg jigs to attach the sides to the bottoms. There's a Kreg jig hole already drilled. It's going to help you a lot to have a drill press because you'll need to drill a cavity for the machine bolts that you use to attach these sides to the lever arms. And then you'll drill a second hole, as you see here, all the way through so you can slide your bolts through. Here you see the indentation that was cut with a bandsaw to attach the fronts. Now the way I measured how to cut the indentations on each side was first I measured the width of the plywood stock and I just kind of lined it up, and I allowed for the kerf or the width of the bandsaw itself. That way the indentation would be just right, and then I was able to cut deep enough for the width of the plywood. And then the way I set the fence for the height of the plywood stock, same idea, just in reverse. I took each front piece and measured it, allowing for the width of the bandsaw or the kerf of the bandsaw, set the fence, and then cut accordingly. And then the finished result was a perfect indentation on each side piece for each container or each rack. So that's where you would cut your height, and then when all is said and done, you've got a perfect indentation like so. Now we can check everything by doing a mock assembly. I've got 2 finished side pieces. All your visible work will be inside of the rack, so not necessarily visible. And then here we've got the front piece, and you can see it fits quite nicely into the indentations on the right side and also on the left side. So we'll pan over to the left side and check, and yep, it fits there too. Maybe do a little sanding work to make it perfect. Here's a demonstration on how the 5 pieces for each rack fit together. There's your sides, of course. You can see most of the work is located pointing inside. So these will be covered up by spice jars. You won't really notice the work on the insides of the sides. And you can see how the front just slips into that indentation right there. And of course you can just use some small screws to fix those fronts in place. And then the backs attach to the sides and the bottom piece like so. Now I pre-drilled holes for my containers and I used countersink drills so that I could completely sink the wood screws into the back for a better look. Actually the backs, you won't see them, but it just gives it a nice finish. You can see countersink holes all around. Now when I assembled my spice racks, I started by attaching the side pieces to the bottom piece using Craig jigs, and then I attached the front piece of thin maple plywood. It's lower than the back piece so you can read the spice jar labels. And then I attached the back portion of the spice rack using really thin nails. I actually pre-drilled the holes for those nails because I didn't want any splitting of the plywood. It's pretty thin, so you don't want to risk splitting the plywood. Let's take another look at the inside of this particular spice rack before we attach the lever arms and before we fill it up with spice jars.